Hi, I'm Dave Norton. I'm the founder and principal of Stone Mantle, and today I want to talk a little bit about the book I just wrote called Human Context: How Intelligent Companies Build Customers. I've been doing customer research now for 25 years, and this book is an important part of my thinking for a long time. This book grew out of concern that I had that the way that we were talking about artificial intelligence and what it means for business was headed in the wrong direction. I believe over the next decade, context is going to be the driving force behind the types of technologies and the types of experiences that people are going to expect and want and demand. So let's jump in. Let's get kind of started here. I've broken this presentation down into three parts. Part one is the argument about AI, how people are talking about it today, and what needs to change if we want the discourse to be more human-centric. Part two is all about applying the frameworks from the book. It's about thinking about situational markets, about modes, time value, and stupid, dumb, smart, genius. Part three, we want to take one solution, and this particular solution is not the most flashy tech solution ever, and apply the principles to the solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with the argument about AI. First of all, let's start with a term that you probably are familiar with, the context window. If you've used ChatGPT or Claude, one of the first things the tool asks you to do is to upload files, build a folder, make whatever material you want it to use available to it. That folder plus all the back and forth of the conversation is the context window. It's not the same thing as what the model was trained on, but it is the data supplied by the company or by the individual so that the model can generate a better response. It's genuinely powerful, and I never could have imagined back in 2015 when I wrote Digital Context 2.0 that this kind of a solution would exist. The thing that we're going to be talking about is human context. And human context is not the same thing as a context window. It's the person's situational reality, the situation that they're in, the mode that they're operating in. And it exists whether or not the system reads it. Here's the definition that Anthropic uses to describe context today. The context window refers to all the text the language model can reference when generating a response. And here's the definition I wrote back in 2015 when we called it digital context, because everything back then was digital. It's a bit of a historical artifact of the time. Digital context, I wrote, is an integrated, smart group of channels that closes the gap between customers' thoughts and their actions. Now pay attention to the difference between the two. One definition describes what's being extracted from the environment to make the model more successful. The other describes what the tool does to empower the consumer to act. That's the language that anybody focused on customer centricity or experiences or transformations ought to be using. It's what designing was supposed to be about all along, understanding the situation the person is actually in. There are at least three things that I think companies need to be paying attention to when it comes to human context. And we'll go deep around each one of these. First, there's a common situation that people find themselves in. And we need to describe what it is. We need to be able to define it and understand why it matters. Second, there's the mode that the person is. There's no shortage of human behaviors out there, but a mode is what a consumer gets into that is the most important part of human context. And third is time value. That's what the person actually is trying to produce from the interaction. Are they trying to speed things up? Are they trying to slow things down? Are they trying for some kind of transformation? Once you have these three elements, situation, mode, time value, you can do a lot for the customer.